now that we've talked a little bit about how you can access things from an array and how you can update them, one of the things we need to do is we need to talk about how to add things to the end and remove them, and add things to the front and remove them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out this section. So I've just got my first names, and it's Toa, Bruce, Tim, and Natasha. So if we want to add to this array, then and we want to add on to the end, then we access the array and we say first names dot, and because it's an array, there's a whole bunch of things you can do with it. So you can concatenate, you can copy within, there's an every function, there's a for each function. Like there's a ton of things that you can do with this. And just to show you that this is not unique to arrays, we'll say let my name equal to. If I said my name dot, you can see that there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with a string. So one of the things that you can do um, with an array is you can add something to the end. So we could say, let Wonder Woman name equal Diana, and we could add her name into the first names list, or sorry, first names array. We'll say first names dot, and the way you add something is you use the push function. When we put a parenthesis, it says it needs some items that you want to add into this first names list. So let's push in Wonder Woman's name. Once we've done that, we're going to console.log first names. So we'll save this. We'll come over to our code, and now you can see that the array says Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha, and Diana, and it put Diana directly on at the end of the array. Well, let's say you want to remove something from the array, and you want to remove something off of the end of the array. So let's say we want to take Diana off. If we want to do that, then we can say first names dot pop. And if we save that and we come over and we reload our page, oh, I forgot to print it again. We'll add console.log, first names. And if we save that and we come over here, we first get the array that has Diana added to the end, and then we get an array that has her removed from the end. Well, sometimes you don't want to add to the end, you want to add to the front. So let's do that. So let's go to our first names list, and then we'll say dot unshift. Unshift means take all of the items, shift them over to the right, and insert something in front. So let's unshift Wonder Woman's name, and then let's console.log that again. So if we come back over here, we see Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha, Diana. She was added to the end. Then we see Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha. She was removed from the end. Then we see Diana, Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha. And we've stuck Diana in at the front. Well, sometimes you also want to get rid of something from the front. And if you want to do that, then you say first names dot shift. Shift means take out the first item and shift everything over to the left. So if we save that and we come here to our code, oh, it would help if I console.logged it. So we save that and we come over here. Now we see Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha, Diana. We've added her to the end. Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha. We've removed her from the end. Diana, Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha. We've added her to the front. And then we say Toa, Bruce, Tim, Natasha. We've now removed Diana from the front. And in that way, you can manipulate your array. Now you may be wondering, why would we want to do this? Well, it's just different forms of processing. So for example, if you think about when you go to the store and you get in line to check out, when you're standing in line, the first person who got in line is the first person who gets taken out of the line. So in that case, the first thing we added is being removed from the front. And that is what we call a queue. A stack is if you think of a stack of plates at a buffet table. They put the plates at the table and the plates slowly rise up. The last plate they put on is the first plate they take off. So in that case, they're removing the very last item off the end of an array. And sometimes in your coding, you'll want to do either of those. I don't need you to remember either of those for now. I just need you to remember that you can add and remove items from the front, and you can add and remove items from, sorry, you can add and remove items from the front, and you can add and remove items from the end. And as long as you know how to do that, you know a lot about how to manipulate an array. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching.